Alrighty, Shalom, Kwam Yashala. This is Brother Gabar Yala coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. Just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect, Kwam Yashala and Abad Babal. Alright, so we're going to take a look at Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16, and we're going to focus on specifically I have created the smith, right? So what does that mean? I have created the smith. So we're going to focus on this specifically. I have created the smith. What does that mean? Right? So I'm going to start off by reading it. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Give me 1 second. Right? So yeah, and I've created the waster to destroy. Beautiful. So this is going into destruction, thermonuclear destruction, when you go into prophecy and when you break it down. This is talking about what's going to play out in the future, right? So pretty much, man, the smith in the ancient world, they were pretty much artificers. They were metal workers. They were also makers, or you can call them also engravers. And that trickles on down to the modern day smith, which is the scientist, engineer, or physicist, right? They're what you call metal workers, they're artificers, they're makers, they're engravers. And they're set up to make weapons of war, weapons for destruction, right? So let's take a look at the word smith here, right? Smith, harash, right? And it says craftsman, artisan, engraver, graver, artificer, graver, artificer, skillful to destroy. That's right. So they have skills. The smith has a skill, right? His skill is to make weapons of war. And what do weapons of war do? They destroy, right? They make weapons for warriors, like your mighty men, your soldiers. A scientist, they make the weapons, and they give it to the warrior, right? And you're seeing that play out. Look at all these wars that are going on. All those guns, all those tanks, all those fighter jets, even missiles, Scud missiles, ICBMs. They're in the hands of warriors and generals and lieutenants and things of that nature. But who created them? It's the scientists, right? And what proves that? Let's go into some history. That's why, late last year, you had a movie that came out called Oppenheimer. That's going into J. Robert Oppenheimer. He's the one behind, he was one of the founders behind the Manhattan Project, which was a secret project that came about during the course of World War II, right? And that project made the atom bomb. So you had a lot of physicists, some of the greatest physicists in the world come together, which the physicists are scientists, they're engineers, and etc., and they made the atom bomb, right? So let's go into that. Okay, Oppenheimer. All right, that's the movie Oppenheimer, right? That's the movie. So what is it about? Okay, and that's the man behind it and the brains behind it. Who gets the credit? J. Robert Oppenheimer was an American theoretical physicist. He was director of the Manhattan Project, Los Alamos laboratory during World War II, and is often called the father of the atomic bomb. Right? So there you go, man. They made a movie about this. And this paved the way for ICBMs and hypersonic missiles and the technology that you see out here today when it comes to bombs and nuclear warfare, or WMDs. Right? They paved the way. They're the pioneers, or this guy's the pioneer, right? The head scientist here. Right? So this is what you call a modern day smith. He's a scientist, an engineer, and a physicist. That's the modern day smith, and they create weapons to destroy. And what he made was a WMD, weapon of mass destruction. That's serious, man. So that's what Isaiah 54:16 is going into. So let's just further prove that, right? Because the scriptures also makes mention of what a maker is. That's why they use the term maker of idols. A maker is someone that designs or creates something with great detail, right? And usually it's with their hands, and they make something out of metal. They're like metal workers. So let's go into Isaiah chapter 45. And when you click the word maker, it's the same word that you would find for smith, which is harash, right? So anyways, let's get to Isaiah 45, verse 16 here. And it says, they shall be ashamed and also confounded. All of them, they shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. Yeah, that's right. Your idols, man, they ain't going to save you. And that's why Babylon is going to be taken out. For your idolatry, your idol worship, worshiping the gods of the other nations, making all these graven images, man. That's why you're going to go out with fire. That's one of the reasons why. You not giving the praise and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Maker. Anyways, it says, but Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting so. No, I'm sorry, verse 16, I'm going to read one more time. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. So let's go into the word makers. And it's the same word for smith when you go into Isaiah 54:16. And you'll see the same word, makers, all right? All right, harash, same thing. It says craftsman, artisan, engraver, graver, artificer, skillful to destroy. That's right. And they're making weapons of destruction. And really, an idol is a weapon of mass destruction, man. That'll lead you to your downfall. You know, worshiping something that's created by your own hands. You know, that's very destructive. Very, very destructive, man. You Israelites, you've experienced that when you went into the gods and the idols of the other nations. You were destroyed and punished severely, man. We're experiencing that to this very day. Man, just look at the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Look at the state of our people. Look at the state of the 12 tribes. Even the ones of you that are so-called successful, you guys are destroyed too, man. You guys have sold out and did all that magic. You guys are destroyed. The Lord is angry. You're very, very low. All right. So, hey, man, making idols is very destructive. In my opinion, it's very destructive. Very, very destructive. I believe that's in the law. I think it's in the book of Deuteronomy or Leviticus. It says if you worship the gods of the other nation, the land will spew you out just like it did as the heathens. I'm just roughly paraphrasing that. But that's very serious, man. So worshiping the gods of the nation, making these idols, it's very, very destructive and catastrophic, man. It destroys generations of people, man. So anyways, so we just proved that with Isaiah 45:16. So pretty much goes into the word makers. The makers / engravers are set up to create things in great detail. Now, it takes a lot of skill to make an ICBM. Let's check this out. What is inside an ICBM missile? All right, so this is the makeup of the missile. Look at the detail, man. All right, this is a short-range ballistic missile, by the way. This is short range, not long range. But even so, there's a lot of detail. Look at that. You got the warhead at the top, the igniter, sender tube, equipment room, fuel tank. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This is stabilizing film. You got the engine, the antenna. There's wires, man. It's detailed. Right? So, yeah, you know, and a maker, an engraver, an artificer, they're creating this. And like I said, the modern day smith, the modern day makers, engravers, they would be your engineers, your scientists, and your physicists. And rocket scientists, pretty much. Same thing as a scientist. So this takes great detail, and it takes time, and you got to have a brain, right? You got to have a brain. You got to be smart. You got to be intelligent. Now, since I mentioned that, I want to go into Genesis chapter 4, verse 22. right? Going into Thabayal Kwayan, or Tubal Cain, right? He was known for being the first blacksmith. So pretty much during his time, he was a genius of his time. He was very intelligent. He made things out of metals. He was a forager. And you got to be very smart to put a piece of metal in fire and then hammer it out and design it in a certain way, especially designing it in a way to destroy people, right? Making a weapon, that takes a lot of brain. That takes a lot of intelligence, right? And by the way, he was a descendant of Cain. He was the son of Lamech and Zillah. Scriptures goes into that. So let's go into Genesis chapter 4 and 22. 4 and 22. Thabayal Kwayan, which I believe that means a spear, a piercing spear. Just look at the word here. Yeah, Thabayal Kwayan, that will be brought of Cain. I remember going into the root word. It said it was like a weapon. Let me see if I can find it in the root word, sorry. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. I remember reading it somewhere. Yeah, okay, it goes back to... But I know it means like a piercing dagger or something. I remember reading it somewhere, going into the etymology. Anyway, maybe it'll come back. Maybe the Lord will bring it back and I can find it. But yeah, Thabayal Kwayan. And this is Tubal Cain. That will be brought of Cain, son of Lamech, by his wife Zillah, and the first worker in metal. So he was like the first engineer, a well-known engineer. Very intelligent. All right, so let's read it. This is Genesis chapter 4, verse 22. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal Cain, which is Thabayal Kwayan, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding and a young man to my hurt. That's right. That's what Cain does. He kills. He's a murderer. I read verse 24. Why not? If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. That's true, man. And that's on them today. And that trickles on down to Esau. You kill an Edomite, you're going to pay, man. You're going to pay. He will be avenged. Right? So anyways, and by the way, this goes back to Genesis 4 and 12. If you read up, talks about the blessing that the Lord put on Cain, when he lost his pigment. He's like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to know that I'm evil, man. You took my pigment away. And after he's like, okay, if anybody bothers you and tries to hurt you, they'll be punished severely. It goes along the lines, and then he's just restating that here. All right, so I'm going to get Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5, going into nuclear destruction. So this is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5 here. And it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And in the ancient world, when two nations went to battle, they faced off at each other on a battlefield, and they did their war cries. And after they made their war cries, they would just attack each other, right? Go at each other. And while they're doing that, they're slicing each other up with swords, hitting each other with arrows and spears, blood gushing out, going, oh my God, getting killed, blood gushing out, horrible. That's how they fought back then in the ancient world. But now, in these modern times, right, it's going to be different, especially during the time of thermonuclear destruction, which we're going to experience. Your warriors aren't going to be called out to the battlefield like that. They're just going to be pressing a button. And you're already seeing that with drones and such. These drones, pretty much these military men, they sit behind a computer and they control a drone, and the drone bombs that target or place, whatever, right? Don't get me wrong, they still fight each other on the battlefield. Don't get me wrong, with conventional warfare and things of that nature. They still do that. But going into the future, this is talking about thermonuclear destruction. All right, your generals, they're going to put a key into the system, they're going to push a button, and that's going to shoot these missiles off. And that's why it says here, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. That's right, burning. That's right, that comes from the warhead, the ICBMs, hypersonic missiles, WMDs, whatever you want to call it, and fuel of fire. That's right, so fuel of fire. Okay, fuel of fire. Hey man, when these missiles get shot off and when they hit their targets, that's going to bring forth temperatures of 1,000,000 degree heat, right? So hey, it's fuel of fire. That's serious. So this is talking about the future. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, so that's going into nuclear destruction. All right, so I'm gonna get Revelation 11 and 14. I'll just pull this up. Just going into the history of the first woe, second woe, and the third woe, and just showing you how nuclear technology was developed. I just want to bring this out. So this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14 here. And it says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Yeah, so, pretty much during and after the second woe, that's when the physicists and scientists came together to create nuclear weapons. And pretty much World War III will come quickly, and it will be speedily, right? So you have to remember, man, the people that profited from the WMDs, I mean, that are being made right now are pretty much the international bankers, because they own all the factories and the materials to build these type of weapons. So they're the ones that are actually profiting off of this. That's why they call it bankers' wars, right? So they're the ones that profited off of all of this. Banking wars. Also, it's a good movie to watch. It came out in 2004 with Nicolas Cage. It was called Lord of War. Show you, man, these people that make weapons, man, they make a lot of money. When you sell weapons and when you make weapons, there's a lot of money that is involved with that, right? And that goes back to Esau, because it says he shall live by the sword. That's in Genesis 27. Matter of fact, I'll pull that up. Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. And it says here, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. That's right. But the main point is, and by thy sword shalt thou live. Right? So he lives by the sword. He lives by killing. He makes a living by making weapons and selling them. And these international banking families, starting with him, they make a living off of war and making weapons. And that's the same spirit that's on them. That same spirit of Thabal al-Qayan, that same spirit of Cain. Right? They love the sword. They love killing. And they're making a living by it. So that's his blessing. His blessing is to make money by using the sword. And I'll read it again. And by thy sword shalt thou live. That's right. He's living. He's making a living killing. That's why you have all these ICBMs, these WMDs coming out of the woodwork, because they're making money off of it. But their blessing is their own curse. Right? Their blessing is their curse, because they're going to go out through thermonuclear destruction. They're going to destroy themselves. That's why 2 Ezra chapter 6 verse 9 says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. right? So the end of their world is going to be due to thermonuclear destruction, and also the Lord coming back and destroying them. But a large part of that goes into thermonuclear destruction, them destroying themselves and blowing themselves up to oblivion. So I hope this makes sense. Hope this was edifying. Till next time, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakacha Chodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that grew well and that do teach well that have taught me this truth. To you I say shalom, and shalom unto the hopeful like to Kwame Shalom about the ball. Shalom.